Namaste and greetings. My name is Akshat Rai, and today we are going to have a strategic look at Tata Motors and its place in the Indian automotive sector. Giving you a brief introduction about the PPT itself, we'll first have a look at what Tata Motors is, the Porter's five forces as we go through each of them on Tata Motors, and present to you our final conclusion along with the team that made this PPT possible. So, first of all, as you might already know, that Tata Motors is part of the Tata and Sons family. That means that Tata Motors has been in the Indian marketplace longer than the modern definition of India has been. This has meant that Tata has a wide range of products from the passenger vehicle segment all the way to the military segment. This has also led Tata to be present in more than 100 nations around the globe, with its Tata Indica and Tata Nano models being loved throughout the globe. Talking about the Porter's five forces itself, it was a framework created for analysts to analyze how a company is in the market, what's the place of the company, and how well it is positioned. So the first force that we'll be discussing today is threat of competitive rivalry, that is threat from the competition that's already present in the market. This can come in the form of either you having to work a lot harder to maintain your market share or you losing a lot of profits due to thinner amount of margins per product. So, first of all, industrial growth has been huge in the automotive sector thanks to the introduction of the electric vehicle. And Tata Motors lead the EV segment thanks to its acquisition of the Jaguar team from Ford, which is now the Formula E team, that's Formula Electric Racing Team, and races under the Tata name around the world. Other than this, Tata's dedication to making Tata Motors a success has meant that it is one of the very few firms that have been left in India in the automotive sector, especially in the passenger market. This means that while companies like Ford were forced to leave India because of high switching costs to adjust to the Indian market, Tata Motors, with its cash backing from Tata, has managed to sustain in the storm. The product differentiation has been massive for Tata, as it's often known as jack of all trades in the industry. Talking about the fixed storage, Tata, just like any other vehicle manufacturer, often has hard time in their storage facilities, as was seen in the case of its failure in Bengal, as it had to leave a 95% complete plant and move its operation to Gujarat. Other than this, the strategic stakes for Tata is huge as it's a leader in the defense and the trucking sector, meaning that any amount of loss in market share is often critically viewed. The capacity expansion in the automotive sector is massive, and as was seen in the case of Ford, which launched three manufacturing units at once, it failed to even manufacture enough units from one plant. But Tata Motors, due to its ages of experience in the Indian market segment, is finally going to open its second plant in Haryana and is looking forward to it in excitement. But these plants often leave a huge problem when it comes to exits from the market, as was seen in 1999 when Ford rejected to buy Tata because of the high amount of fixed assets that they had to take over from Tata for their operations. This means that threats exist from competitors in the new technology and cost cutting segment, while the unique selling point of safety of Tata can also be taken over by any of the competitors that are in the market. But this also leaves open opportunities for Tata as it can ensure much better vehicles in the EV segment as well as in the entry class and passenger segment of the Indian market. Overall, the threat of rivalry is moderate as Tata leads in the defense and the commercial sector but falls way short in the customer vehicle segment. Talking about the buyer bargaining power, buyers in India have been spoiled, which means that they control massively on any company's profitability. So, to analyze that, we look at the buyers' buying orders. While in India, most of the people personally buy one vehicle itself, but the commercial orders are often in tens to hundreds. This means that while buyer backward integration is impossible for individual buyers, large segment buyers often find a way to salvage parts from one vehicle or the other. But this means that the buyer switching cost also increases massively. As if a commercial segment switches from one company to another, they will have to stock up on spare parts and spend a fortune on them. The buyer products are massively present across the market segments. There is always an option for the buyer to switch from one company to the other. Talking about buyer information, due to the high regularization of the Indian market, buyers have all the information, whether it's about the industry products or the overall cost that they will incur through their journey. This means that buyer profitability is very low as it often takes money for people due to the high amount of fuel costs to run their vehicles rather than earning out of them. So this means that the primarily threat for buyers is the price competition and the rising fuel costs. But this also leaves the opportunity in the safety segment and the Make in India initiative launched by the government of India. It also makes it difficult for players to exit the market, meaning that competitors find it hard to enter it as well. The threat of buyer in general is huge, meaning that the buyers often control how much of your product moves. And if you can't convince your buyer, your product won't move from the factory layout to the road. Now we have the suppliers, the people who give you the product. So Tata's suppliers are the ones that are the sister organizations of Tata and Sons. This gives Tata an inequitable advantage in the supplier segment. As we see, Tata doesn't have to worry about supplier concentration or supplier volume profits, as in both the cases, Tata has sister organizations working for it, meaning it can buy in bulk, it can often delay the payments, and the sister organization is fine with it as it allows them a steady flow of income. The same goes with the forward integration, as suppliers are sister organizations, so they do not or are not allowed to make their own vehicles or parts for other competitors. This also means that the supplier products are very much standardized and according to the industry's highest standards. This leaves the switching cost extremely high for both the supplier and Tata, as it's impossible for Tata to switch from its sister company to a competitive company, while it also makes it impossible for the competitive company to take away Tata from their current suppliers. What this means is that if any of the sister organizations fail, it can lead to a domino effect affecting Tata. But what this also means is that Tata can open multiple plants wherever they have a good network. Overall, the threat of suppliers is low thanks to Tata and Tata and Sons' natural relation and the support of the sister organizations. The threat of substitutes. This is the fourth force we'll be discussing. So the substitutes in the market are often the products that have a similar or the same functionality as yours, and they often present one of the biggest challenges for any firm to overcome. In this segment, the buyer switching cost is extremely large, as vehicles even today are a luxury item in India. This means that the buyer profile is very restricted depending upon the type and the build of the model. This also leads to a high impact on performance trends, as people go for low cost and high performance vehicle compared to going for the fancier ones like in the foreign nations. But this also has a ripple effect on the company itself, as the indirect costs are often massive for the company and less expensive. This means that the price sensitivity plays a vital role in the buyer's buying decision, as well as the overall performance of the vehicle, where Tata lags primarily because Maruti has been in the customer segment a lot longer. Talking about threats, international players possess the massive threat to Tata. While the opportunity lies in the fact that it has a one chases multi-body system and has a niche market in India. Tata also, while it might not be able to beat them in the short run in a price war, it can beat any company in time war, as Tata has massive resources that it can bring to fruition to ensure that the competitors stay out of the market. Overall, the threat of substitutes is massively low, as Tata has specialized itself in the various market segments, and they are often very hard to push. Just like a new seed budding, threat of a new entrant is never out of question. And that is where Tata holds a massive edge in the industry. As Tata's supply side economics is massively large, its demand side benefits are large as well, something that competitors often find hard to replicate given the Indian market situation. The capital requirements are massive for any new company to enter, while the switching costs are also massive due to the very difficult nature of the automotive sector and automotive assembly plants. This means that the incumbency is often for the one who makes the first move. And the fact that the cars can only be sold through dealerships means that distribution channels are key for any new entrant and are often limited for them. The anticipated incumbent response in any situation is massively negative for a newcomer, as they often try to quash the competition before it even rises. While government has provided a number of subsidies in the EV segment, in general, it's a very neutral market for a new entrant, meaning that they have no benefits at all. There are no major threats for Tata other than the fact that maybe a player comes in with a huge financial backing, or maybe a computer revolution takes place and vehicles suddenly require much more computer and technology benefits than it currently uses. Other than this, the Tata's opportunities still lie in the EV and the entry segment, while Tata Technologies and TCS is still developing apps as well as other technologies to help people understand their vehicles much better than they currently do. Overall, the threat of new entrants is barely any. And to be honest, no competitor has ever tried to enter the Indian market since Ford and GM's failure in the recent past. So, concluding this long and yet exhaustive presentation, our final conclusion lies in the fact that Tata currently leads India in most of the sectors, from EV to defense to commercial, or even the newly established SUV segment. While Tata controls the Indian market, it still faces massive competition from foreign countries and foreign competitors. This also lies in the EV segment as well as the defense, where in both the segments, Tata does not have the first movers advantage. But overall, thanks to Tata's legacy and hard work, Tata today is in a very comfortable position in not only India but around the world. And it's constantly evolving itself to become better every single day. Finding the end and helping you meet the team, Aditya Upadhyay was the one responsible for analyzing the threats and opportunities, while I myself was responsible for design, scaling, as well as the past policies that we have mentioned, such as the failure in Bengal to the rise in the Gujarat case. Other than this, Hiten Mittal was responsible for providing us with a final conclusion and a Porter 5 forces analysis based on which this entire PPT is based upon. With this, I would like to take your leave and thank you for all the time that you gave us and all the teachings that helped us achieve our current presentation. Thank you.